Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Connection in Medicine series for the 24th annual pre-event for our New Visions Holistic Expo. And we are gathering thought leaders and Hay House authors to inspire you and talk about connection and how it's so important and the many ways we can have connection and tap into that. So today I'm bringing on Hay House author and fairy whisperer, Karen Kay, and we're going to dive into some really great things for her work and some news for updates for her, which is just some really cool things. And also, we're giving away some goodies. So all of these live streams, stay tuned and make sure you comment and share because we're giving away Hay House products. And we'll drum roll, please, show which we're going to be giving away for this one. But first, we'll bring on Karen and let's introduce her and talk about her work. And she's coming from us from the UK.
Yay! Hello.
Hello, Karen. And welcome. I know you were saying it's really hot over there. So we're like also having a heat wave here in Pennsylvania. And so we're really excited for your work and specifically your background in working with the elementals and fairies. So one of the questions I'd like to ask you is what if someone would like to learn to start talking with fairies and connecting with them? Tell us about that and your background.
Okay, so I will condense this as much as I can. So it all started when I was a little girl in my grandmother's garden, and she believed in fairies, but I didn't know that at the time. And she would always be pruning her roses, and I would gather up the rose petals as they fell to the ground, put them in a pot, add some water, mush them all up, and I was creating what I believed was perfume for the flower fairies. It was actually rose water. I would leave it out overnight, and the next day I would go and check it, and it would always be gone. I would also perceive the fairies as tiny little dancing points of light.
Wow. So for those of us who are like maybe had these experiences, when you first experienced it, because I see things out of the corner of my eyes and I look and then they're not always there, but I know that there's either a spirit or an elemental. And I've had these experiences all my life, and I've had more interest in the fairy realm because I've gotten, let's just say, more connected into nature over the last 5 years. So if you're someone that maybe isn't connected in with nature, and you're looking to start having maybe your first experience, what are some things that we could learn? And I know you dive deeper into it with your book. You could share about that, but what are some tips that you would recommend for people who are just starting out?
Yes. So if I may, I have a super quick, short introductory meditation to connect with the fairies. May I do this?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to go super quick into this. We're going to feel our presence on the chair or the seat, wherever you are, breathing in deeply, breathing in love, light, joy, peace, and happiness. And then as you breathe out, you're releasing all your cares and concerns. And then in your mind, you're visualizing roots coming from your feet, going deep down into the earth to feel that really grounded connection. Then in front of you, you see a large ancient tree. You move towards the tree and you ask permission of the tree to sit beside it, and you place your back, your spine against the trunk of the tree, feeling the wisdom and the presence of the tree. And then you simply say, "Fairies, fairies, come to me as I sit beneath this tree. So it is, and so may it be." And then you just sit there for as long or short as you wish and just await for inspiration, any little signs, anything unusual that might pop into your mind or into your heart. And then when you feel ready, we're doing this quick now because we're on a time scale, a human time scale. We're going to open our eyes, feel our fingers and our toes, roll our shoulders and come back into the room. Yay.
I love that. So we can spend as much time with that though, like out in nature with that meditation. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I had experience this week. I was walking out in the woods and I felt like there was a lot of particular energy that I had just dropped into because I was like really just letting go of all the human world and all the deadlines. And we're walking along. And in my experience, whenever I see damselflies or they're like little dragonflies and they keep coming around, I know like to me, there's there's a specific energy I experience when it's just a damselfly, but then when it feels like it's something more conscious, there's an experience I have with it that I'm always like, I wonder if that's what a fairy is. And I thought, oh my God, it's perfect. I get to ask you that like one-on-one this week. So can you tell me like what your experience is with that?
Yeah, so I have experienced those damselflies as well, and they do carry the energy of fairy or fairies, the elemental energy. And I always say, when you see, especially if something makes you feel something, it feels a little bit different. And I get a feeling that I call the fairy fizzes. Some people might say goosebumps, angel bumps, the tingles. I call it fairy fizzes, and it's a physical feeling that I get when I encounter anything that has a fairy energy with it. So the damselflies, it could be a bird or another insect acting in a slightly unusual way, a butterfly perhaps. You will know, and it is really about trusting your instinct, your intuition as to what that might be. And it could just simply be a damselfly, but when you get the feeling with it, you know that it has a fairy energy with it, definitely. Or it could be a fairy that shapeshifted into that damselfly as well.
Well, I feel like it absolutely was, because then the moments that led after that, I just kind of followed down the path that it was going, because there was a couple different places we could go. And of course, it's magical, whimsical time to follow these damsel fairies, right? I thought, well, I'm going to
Yeah.
do that. And me and my partner were walking along, and very slowly, I just got very still because all of a sudden there was a mother deer and two fawns, and we just got very stationary, and it was so magical watching them nurse with her. And then just I kept moving along the path just very still, and then they kept looking and seeing us, and the mother would walk up and she was looking at us, but then she just left us be. She's like, okay, you're here, and she didn't run away. So like, so my heart feels so open when those experiences happen. And I think that connection to nature is something that I've noticed that we maybe don't feel like we have time for, or there is this really big disconnect from not just nature, but even just the physical realm. And from my experience as a medium, the elementals are on a way different frequency than angelic beings and those who have crossed over. It's a whole different radio station, so to speak. And I've
Mhm.
wondered if you feel that people have in order to connect and tap into that how best to get on that wavelength, but other than being in nature. So I'm open to, some dialogue on your thoughts on our connection to nature and the disconnect and the need, and all any thoughts that come out intuitively about this particular topic.
Yeah, so I feel like many of us are disconnected from nature due to the way society is set up, and people are living in kind of really high-rise buildings, and they don't really have access to that except perhaps through a plant. And I always encourage people that can't physically get out into nature to at least buy a little house plant, and you've got something there, because there will be a fairy energy with that. And if we are able to get out into nature, then we need to do that to feel ideally bare feet on the soil, on the ground, because then we're creating an electrical charge. We're receiving energy from the earth, and we're giving our energy into the earth. And it's interesting what you say about the deer as well, because my son recently got married, and we were staying on this beautiful estate in Cornwall, and my friend and I were walking back after the wedding party, and there was a little deer, a fawn, in the garden, and it didn't run. It looked, it was so curious, and in fact it was doing this, it was coming forward, it didn't run for ages, and I've got it all on video. And I said to my friend, like, that's not usual, that normally they will flee straight away. And she said it's definitely got a fey energy, and I realized, oh, of course it has. So because deers are very gentle, and they just are naturally in tune with nature and have just a very delicate demeanor, and they're very kind of connected into the heart as well. So if they sense that from us, then they're not going to flee. So it felt like a real privilege for me, and I'm sure it felt the same for you.
Yes, the gentleness, the vulnerability. I've had such lessons from the deer as a spirit guide for how my sensitivity as a human being
Yeah.
is strength. And that whenever they come to me is just usually that sign for me. So I was very honored that day. So, my journey with entering into the elemental realm, I have to say that I used to not believe in fairies. It's so
Right?
funny. I didn't have any connection to them
Yeah.
until I started a couple years ago, really tapping into like, I mean, girl, I got so many houseplants now. I love them. They all have names. I'm sitting with Ren as she's sitting in front of this here. And I have this like instinct that I started putting like just like crystals, and like whenever I go to have a crystal break or something that I just didn't want to get rid of, like a little like trinket, I'd put it inside the plant. And I like, now that I'm more learning about these elementals and fairies, I just think it's so cool. And the work that you do, just connecting people when they're ready, or if like those of you who are listening, like maybe this is new, maybe you have dived into elementals and fairies for a long time, but you have now 4 oracle decks. And I'd love for you
Yeah.
to briefly share with us, because you have a new one out, and I think we might have time for you. We're going to pull a card for
I'd
us with
love to
a
pull a
new
card.
deck.
So this is my new deck, and I've got one in my hands at the moment. It's the Enchanted Realms Oracle, which I'm super, super excited about. And there's actually a fawn fairy in that deck as well. So when you see that card, it will mean something to you. So I'm going to pull a card for the collective. Whenever you're listening to this, will be the right time, the perfect time. And yeah, I'm just, 2 of them have flown out. Hang on a minute. What have we got? Right, I'm gonna just see what the story is. Okay, so we've got fairy wishes and we've got the golden key. There's a few symbolic cards in here, and the golden key is the key that we would use to go into the fairy realm, to go in through the other world into the enchanted realms. And the fairy wishes is like, we can work with fairies to manifest what we want to manifest within this world. And it doesn't have to be material. It can be material things. We are material beings, but it can also be things like love, peace, joy, harmony. And that brings me to my Manifesting with the Fairies Oracle deck, which is all about manifesting all of the things. So there is a kind of crossover. Many people have had fairy experiences, just going back to what you were saying, and many people are thought, as we grow up, we're not supposed to believe. That's a child thing. It's an inner child thing, and we always have our inner child with us. I've never lost mine, fortunately, and I've always had, I don't even call it a belief in fairies, I call it a knowing of their existence, and they are on a parallel realm to us, another dimension, but on the earth. And you're very right as well, they're not angelic, they're not cosmic beings. They are, although you can get cosmic fairies, that's another story, they are very much connected to the earth. And I think they're coming through really prominently at the moment to many people, not just me, because they want us to care for the earth and love the earth as much as they do. And the fairies of the enchanted realms, there's all different types of fairies, naiads, dryads, gnomes, pixies, ad infinitum. They're coming through with their wisdom in this deck. So I'm super, super excited for it to be released into the world.
I love that you're giving elementals and fairies a voice for the humans, because like you said, the adults, we don't believe in fairies, like, but I'm feeling that the card you pulled, it was the golden key, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm also, when you were speaking, I was just feeling it. That was my heart space being open in nature, being playful and curious, and having the eyes of a child, which we see so much more because there's no limitations on our consciousness of what we believe to be real when we have that sight. And I think that's the innocence that also showed up as the deer. So it really, really lines up with the card you pulled too.
I love that. And I just want to quickly show you my fairy whispering book, which has 111 magical practices for connecting with the enchanted realms, with the fairies. So if anybody does want to go deeper into that, a kind of deep dive, then there are so many different techniques that we can use on any level, whatever level you're coming at it from. And you don't have to believe, you can just have an open heart, a curious mind, and just see what happens.
Yes, absolutely. And so we are going to have, so we were talking before this live stream that we wanted to have you at our event, and you were so curious about coming to the New Visions Expo here in York, Pennsylvania. And we're hoping to have you next year, but we're so glad that we could have you just as this need for connection for around the world. Like, you're in the UK, the wisdom that you have to offer us doesn't have to be just in person, but we are going to have your Oracle decks on at their bookstore on the event. So we're going to
Yay.
have it at the, yeah. And then we're giving away one today. So can you hold up the one again? We're giving away the newest one, your Enchanted Realms Oracle deck. Yeah. And so,
yeah.
Yes, perfect. And so we really just, so thank you so much to Hay House, because Hay House has been one of our beautiful partners for this and the giveaways, and just supporting us with offering wisdom from all these amazing people like yourself, Karen, from around the world, because connection in this time is just so needed. Like I feel the heart space and wanting this connection to ourselves, to elementals, to the land. So in wrapping up today, I'd love for you to share if there's anything else we can learn about you, where we can find you at, and also what connection means for you as far as this theme we have as connection is medicine.
Yeah. So, well, I am kind of virtually omnipresent. I'm everywhere online. My website is karenkay.co.uk. I'm very active on Instagram, and I'm Karen K Fairy on all the platforms except TikTok, where I'm Karen K Fairy official, because I couldn't log into my TikTok account under the other name. And so fairies, they are guardians of nature. I'll just say that is their primary role. They love nature, they care for nature, and when they receive or perceive a human that is equally open in their heart space to their connection, to their energy, then they will inspire us, and they get very excited because we have a body, we can do things, we can pick up litter, we can do physical things, we can protect the environment in a physical way, which supports them. So they get very excited when they can connect with a human that is open and receptive to them. And like I said before, like always keep an open heart and an open mind. Very often the mind will come in and try and talk things away or think things away. But if we can be in the present moment, in the now, that's where the fairies are. They're not in the past, they're not in the future, they're in the present moment. So when we can fully be ourselves in that present moment, then we have a very real chance of connecting with them.
Yes, yes. And I think that this intuition is something that we all have access to, that I think all the speakers and teachers that we're connecting with, we all are on the same page, that this is not a special gift that is too uniquely to those who are born with it, that all aspects of ourself are asking us to connect with our intuition, to angels, to elementals, to those who have crossed over, to our ancestors, to whatever it is that speaks. And I love that you said that that window or that doorway to access is the present moment. Like that's for everyone when we enter into our intuitive sense. Yeah. So this event, as far as the things you do as well, your books and your offerings and your own online presence, as well as this event, we have so many experiences for those who want to deepen their intuition, their connection with self, their connection with their ancestors, those loved ones who have crossed over. And just to kind of mention, when you said about that logical mind gets in the way, I had my own logical experiences as a medium years ago that was like, I connect with people who crossed over that are human, and then one day the logic came in and said, wait a minute, when I started experiencing interdimensional beings and fairies and things that were just like, my logical adult self said, this is what? And I was like, wait a minute, why would it not make sense that if you could talk to anything that has no body, has no physical form, and it's just consciousness, why would it not? So that openness and that curiosity reigns supreme in me. I still have my little skeptical brain because it likes to figure things out, but they're paradoxically there within myself. So I encourage you listeners as well to play with that and be curious. But other than that, definitely everybody, if you have not commented below, share this live stream to enter to win to the Enchanted Realms. We'll contact you if you win it, and get you your tickets now for the newvisionsholisticsexpo.com. And other than that, Karen, anything else you want to share before we go?
So, like I said, keep an open mind and an open heart. Try not to let the mind overtake too much, but it is equally important to question things and not kind of just believe everything and all the voices in our head. We don't have to do what they say. Always remember, we are sovereign. Tune into our own intuition, our own instinct. See how you personally feel when you're having these experiences. And that is your best kind of guide, really. And the path of the heart will never lead you down the wrong path.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Karen, for being a part of our Connection is Medicine series. And those of you out there, I hope that we see you at the New Vision Holistic Expo. Stay tuned for our future live streams with some other authors like Colette Baron Reed, and we have Dr. E, and we have Stephanie Camponi. Like, there's a whole lineup. So please make sure you listen to those. Stay tuned because we have more Hay House giveaways as well.
Yay.
All right. Bye. Thanks again, Karen. Be well until next time, my friends.
Okay.